The importance of language drill is undeniable. Language structures must be properly drilled if we want our students to use them in speech. As a teacher, I faced the situations when open the brackets or filling the blank tasks tired my students quickly. Consequently, they were becoming less motivated and encouraged, and the output of the drilling activity was becoming seemingly less visible. As a fan of board games, I realized there is a board game that can lift the spirits and keep my students involved during the lesson. Furthermore, it boosts competitiveness among students and encourages them to do their utmost during this stage of the lesson. I started research on what games are appropriate to be used for this person and how I can adjust them. Today I'm going to share the results of my work. I will share the games I adapted, the games I use at my lessons to drill the language material. Moreover, we will show you how this games works, because ideally, of course, I would like us to play the games out. However, the format doesn't allow us to do so. Anyway, I have a group of helpers who will illustrate the games, and of course I will mention in general words the descriptions and how these games can be adapted and can be used at your classes. Please, during my presentation, make some notes, as I'm going to share plenty of games, and I do believe it is almost impossible to bear everything in mind. Moreover, Q&A session is planned at the end of my presentation, so you can make notes of your questions and do not hesitate to ask them afterwards. Before I start sharing about the games, there is one extremely crucial point I'd like to cover, which is the instruction. If you want your game to work, make sure that your instruction is ready and you are ready to tell your students how to work. There are 4 important points. The first important step is to think the instruction through. It might seem easy when I describe it. However, if you want your game to work, make sure you are ready with the instruction. Clear, short, full, with all the details. One more important point is that some of the games are really complex. There are several stages. Make sure you divide the instruction if necessary and give just portions, bits of information to your students. One more thing is to understand if your students got the instruction. You can do it with the help of ICQ, which is instruction-taking questions. It is important to think them over again in advance, be ready with these questions to make sure students will play the game right. And the last point is an example. It is always a good idea for a complicated game to play a demo version with your students, just to show them how the game works in general. So you check the understanding first theoretically, and then you showed how the game works in practice. The first game I'd like to share is so trivial, however, it works perfectly fine every single time I use it. It's the game of cards. You need just questions or statements to discuss, and you need to prepare special cards with active vocabulary, grammar, or maybe functional language, some opinion phrases or linkers for your students to use. The idea is that students work in groups or in pairs, they have the statements to discuss, and they have a particular number of cards with this active material. During the discussion, students must use the cards they have on their hands. When they do use one word or a phrase, they put the card on the table. The person who gets rid of all the cards first wins. This is the game that stimulates, that encourages your students to use the material you've just learned, functional language, whatever, or words or grammar. Battleships. This game will definitely take your students back to their childhood, as the main rules, the main principles are absolutely the same as they used to play when they were children. There are 2 grids and students play in pairs. One grid has a word, and you decide yourself how many words you want to put in the grid. Then they are absolutely different grids, and I don't know the grid of my partner. One by one, students name the squares they want to hit, so to say, like 1B, 1C, 4A. My partner looks at their grid, and if there is the word, they need to explain it. And I name the grid, so I listen to the word and I need to guess this particular word. If the square is empty, so that's it, you just take turns, so they swap, and now student B names the square. There are variations, so I have prepared ready-made grids for my students, but you can bring empty templates for students and ask students to fill the grids themselves. That's also a wonderful twist, and the students might choose the words or the phrases that are the most complicated for them. Also, a nice twist is when I add bombs to the grid. These are special symbols, and I add grammar points to the activity. When one student hits the bomb, it means they do not guess the word, but maybe they open the brackets or they need to give a synonym. These are any additional tasks you want, you're able to create. And be very attentive with the language students need for this activity. I always teach my students how to call like miss or hit, maybe some phrases in general that will help students to conduct the activity. So guys, you'll work in pairs, student A, student B, student A, student B. You'll get the cards. Please do not show the cards to your partners. Student A, you name one square. For example, 1A, B2. Student B, you look at your card and see if there is a word in the square. If there is, you explain the word. Student A, you need to guess which word it is. If you do, you hit the ship. If you don't, well, sorry, better luck next time. So guys, do you show the cards to your partners?
No.
Do you know where the words of your partners are?
No.
If you say the square, if you name the square, do you explain the word or your partner? If you name the square,
No.
who explains? And then you swap. You're gonna have 2 minutes. You're welcome. And 3, and 2, and 1. Time's up, back to me. Thank you very much. Have you found all the shapes / words? No. Okay, maybe, well, better luck next time. All right, thank you. Next game is a wonderful choice for revision. It's alias. It will work if you have a big set of words, because the main idea of the game is to explain as many words as possible within a set period of time. It can be 1 minute or 2 minutes. Ideally, the words must be connected with the topic, and then students can share, like, topic food. You can unite the words based on the units, for example, from the book, or the vocabulary sets you have in general. Also, I have upgraded this game a little bit to involve students even more. I suggest the following algorithm. First of all, I prepare empty cards just with the names of topics, with the names of units or themes, and I give the cards to the pairs of students. Then they have some time to fill them in. So students revise the vocabulary for the first time when they look through their vocabulary lists and write the words down. Then I take the cards, the piles of cards they get, and rearrange these cards among the students. So one pair gets a different set of cards. I give them some time to look through the cards one more time, like to get acquainted with the word their team players or group mates mentioned, noted down in the card. Look, they revise the vocabulary one more time. And then when they are more or less acquainted with the words. Again, it depends on the group you have. Maybe if it's a really strong group, you can omit this stage, right? If it's a weak group, then vice versa. It will be extremely helpful. And stage number 4, the play. Like one student takes the card and you set the alarm. They have 1 minute to explain as many words as possible. And then I give students some time to look at the card together and find out which word student failed to guess. It is also important, to revise. They didn't guess, but then they looked through, they refreshed, and I do believe there will be some sense in this revision. And then they swap and keep playing till the end. We keep the score by the number of guessed words, and then the pairs compete against each other. And at the end, we count the score in total, how many words each pair guessed. Ladies, you will work in pairs. You have a pile of cards. One by one, you take one card and explain as many words as you can in 1 minute. Partners, what do? You guess. One of you explains, the other guess. Please do not show the cards to your partners and count how many words you guessed. So, ladies, will you show the cards to your partners? No. You're welcome. Natalia and Olga, take the first card. You have 1 minute to explain. Go. Time's up. Ladies, back to me. How many?
5.
Oh, wow.
7, sorry.
Oh, maybe 9. 7. All right, thank you. Truth or dare? The principle is extremely simple. You just need 2 piles of cards. The cards can be multicolored, by the way. And you need a coin. Students flip a coin, and according to the side, heads or tails, they take the card. The main idea that the truth cards, if it is a truth card, students need to answer the question or say something. Of course, the questions and the tasks in general must and should be connected with the active material of the lesson or something you've been studying for a while. Their cards are the activities, so students can do something. For example, they can mime the words, draw the words, explain without their voices. Here, huge space for creativity, whatever you want. I use this activity and for Christmas classes, and I include some tasks such as hug everyone in the group, or imitate Santa's laugh, or sing a song, so whatever. But the main idea is one card like saying, the second card something more stressful and of course enjoyable for students. Ladies, you will work in pairs. You have 2 piles of cards. Truth, the cards with questions and something you need to discuss, and dare cards, the cards with some activities, things you need to do. One by one, you will flip a coin. If it's heads, you take a truth card. If it tails, the dare card. And you follow the instructions from the cards. Ladies, do you choose which card to take, or destiny?
Destiny.
Exactly. What do you need to decide which card to take?
Flip a coin.
Good. Partners, please listen attentively, ask additional questions. Do not hesitate to participate in the conversation. You have 2 minutes. You're welcome. Challenges. That is not like a game, nothing special. It's just add some atmosphere and the spirit of competitiveness to the process of revision. You need just cards with the tasks, any type of tasks. Before doing the tasks, students must follow a particular plan. So, student A takes the card and asks their partner, "Are you ready to accept my challenge?" And then reads out the task from the card, such as correct the mistake, open the brackets, give synonym, explain, whatever. Student B listens attentively to the task and then needs to be ready to make the decision. Either they accept or do not accept the challenge. And then it works as it works. If they accept, they do the task. If they don't, okay. The point is in keeping the score. The idea is if student B accepts the challenge and does the task correctly, they score 1 point. If they accept the task but do not do the task correctly, it's just a 0. However, if they refuse to accept the challenge, it's going to be -1. You can even use your ready-made cards, maybe with some tasks or even some exercises, or divide an exercise from your book on the cards and then bring these challenges to cheer everyone up. Tic-tac-toe, back to the days, back to the school days. The principle is absolutely the same. So there are 2 teams, there are crosses, there are nods, and each square is a task. Each square represents a task. Students must not see the topics or the tasks. It's the secret for them. This activity may have a team building effect. If you, for example, form teams, ask to choose a captain, ask to create a name for the team, they can flip a coin to choose who's going to go first, who's cross, who's not, whatever. The most important thing here is the way you check their exercises, the way everything works to make it fair. The first team chooses the square, for example, 1A or of course 2B. I always put the most complicated task as 2B. When they choose the square, I spread out the tasks. I mention the topic, the rule, give out the tasks to absolutely everyone in class. So both teams fulfill the tasks. That's very important for everyone to be involved. Then the team who chose the grid, who chose the square, they read out the answers. And here, exclamation mark. Please do not let them know if the answers are correct or not. I just make notes of the answers to use it later on. So we'll just listen and make notes. The second team also listens attentively and they have a say here as well. Then I refer to the second team like, guys, do you agree? Do you have the same answers? And like get their ideas. Then the final stage is the following. If the team who chose the square were absolutely correct, I put their symbol, so cross or not, on the square they chose. If the team who read the answers, who chose the square, made a mistake, but the second team got it right, we put the symbol of the second team. And if everyone failed, well, okay, maybe we'll need to revise this rule a little bit more, but no symbol, or you can put a heart. Please be very attentive with this stage of checking. It is really important not to let anyone know that, well, this sentence is incorrect, because then the second team, they can correct their answers if they are attentive enough, right? And give you absolutely correct answers. And here we go. Well, it's not going to be as fair as you planned. You can choose full tasks to put on the grid, but also there can be several sentences or one sentence or just one simple task, anything you want. Ladies, let's choose the symbols for your teams. We have a cross and a knot. Ladies,
Cross.
right? Which means here a knot. All right. Ladies, choose the square. The hardest one. All right. Now I've prepared for you the tasks. Each of you must do the task individually. You have 30 seconds. Back to me. All right, back to me, thank you. Ladies, you chose the square, so you are the first to read out the answers. Ladies, listen attentively if there are any mismatches, all right? I will not tell the correct answers at once. All right, so you're welcome.
So to join the gym, please leave a £2 non-refundable deposit at reception.
All right, so let's, like
Okay.
1F.
1F.
Next.
2B.
Next.
3 a D.
Next.
Or A.
Next.
5 G.
Next.
6 E.
Next.
And 7 C.
Ladies, do you have the same answers? Exactly the same. Are you sure? All right, thank you. Everything was absolutely correct. Thank you very much. And we put your symbol here. Thank you. Now the second team, choose your square. 1B. All right. We will talk about feelings. Again, you will do the tasks individually. Then we'll check if all the answers are correct. We'll put your symbol there. 1 minute, you're welcome. Jeopardy. You need categories and for example, grammar, vocabulary, functional language, speaking, listening, whatever. Surprise, I really love the surprise section where I put absolutely everything. And you need the tasks. The more points, the higher prices, the more difficult tasks it represents. The procedure of working with this game is absolutely the same as I've just mentioned about tic-tac-toe. There are 2 teams, there might be names and captains. One by one, they choose the square, both teams do the tasks, then you check and move on. Here, of course, for a teacher, more tasks in general to prepare. And however, again, there can be just several sentences. For example, 1 square, just 1 sentence, or give a synonym, give the opposite, describe, show, whatever. Personally, I use this game for the whole class for 90 minutes as like global revision of the whole course, where we revise almost everything we've studied during the year. And you can also add like follow-up discussions for these tasks, like you revise narrative tenses, they open the brackets, they completed the story with the missing verbs, and then I give them the task like, guys, has anything similar happened to you, or tell about your last vacation, whatever. Just even using such games like tic-tac-toe or Jeopardy, you can bring more speaking to the class, not only drilling activity and controlled practice. Equivoci. From the very beginning, I want to mention it is really time-consuming to play, and it's even more time-consuming for a teacher to prepare. Because, first of all, you need to prepare a list of words on a card. Each card will have 6 words. It depends on the number on your die. So regularly it's 1-6, so 6 words. Then you need a board, you need dice themselves, audacious students, because this game involves not only explaining, but it can be singing or miming or showing, whatever. So make sure your students are comfortable doing all these activities. So how it happens? You divide your class into teams, and each team has a board, a card of words, and the dice. Students roll the dice and take a card with the word, this card. When they have the number of the dice, they choose the word from the card according to the number. So they do not explain every word from the card, they need just one based on the number on the dice. Then they need to figure out what to do with this word, how to explain it. They roll the dice again and look at the tasks. When students roll the dice for the second time, they will know what they're going to do with the word. These are my options. You can see them behind my back. There are simple ones like explain, read backwards, but you can add to the list whatever you want. So they know the word, they know what to do with it. The next step is just to make their team players understand what is the word you are talking about. And if your team players guessed, you make a move according to the number on the second dice. And that's it. The first one who reaches the finish line is the winner. Of course, in general, knowledge wins in all the cases, but in here you can congratulate the luckiest ones. Bankruptcy game. Sounds simple, works perfectly fine every single time, unusual twist, unusual turn, and of course everyone wants to earn as much money as possible, but luckily here money goes with knowledge. There is a pile of cards with your active vocabulary, for example, but each card has a price. Usually I vary the price according to the difficulty of the word. Like the easier the word, the lower the price is. And there are two different types of cards, which are donation or donate and bankrupt or bankruptcy, whatever you put it. The idea, the pile of cards lies on the table. Students play in a group of 3 or 4. One by one they take a card and they explain the word they have on the card. The person who guesses first, correctly of course, wins the card and they win this amount of money. If I take a card and there is donation card, it means I must spread out my money to my team players. So everything I've earned, everything I've won up to this point, I have to donate and give it away. If there is a bankruptcy card, I just lose everything. No one gets anything and all my cards go out of the game. So in both cases I get rid of all the cards. At the end we count the amount of money we earned, and honestly students tend to ask for real money in return for that. So make sure, be ready with such questions. Ladies, you'll work in a group all together. You have a pile of cards. Each card has a word or a phrase you need to explain. One of you explains the word, the rest guess. The first one who guesses wins the card. Each card has a prize. So you guess the words and you earn some cash. Well, cash. There are different types of cards. Look. There is a bankruptcy card. If you get this card, you lose all your money. And there is a donation card. When you have this card, you need to give the money to your team players. All the money to your team players. So ladies, when you have the card to donate and bankruptcy, do you lose your money in both cases? Yes, if you donate, you lose the money in both cases. If it's bankruptcy, do you give the money to anyone else? No, just the card set aside. How many people describe the word at a time? One. And the rest?
Yes.
Good job. You have 3 minutes. Ladies, finish up. All right, time is up. Thank you very much. Yeah, how much you got? Yay!
25.
Oh my God. I'll go buy me lunch. It's your treat.
All right, ladies, knowledge wins. Taboo game. I do believe this game is more appropriate for high-level students, as this game involves some skills of explanation. There is the word or a phrase on the card which a student needs to explain to their teammates. However, there are several words that the student cannot use. These words are taboo. You can cross them out, for example, as I did in the card. Definitely, these words are the most obvious ones, and it is rather challenging to explain the notion, the target word, without these words. Personally, I always mention when I play this activity that, guys, look, you've managed without your native language. You're able to explain the words even if you don't know or do not remember one particular but very important word for definition. And I've noticed that students feel truly satisfied when they manage with this activity. One variation, how to upgrade this game, is that you can add a question on the card. And for example, after guessing the word, the group can together discuss the question using this word and also practice the notion, practice the phrase or the word one more time in a wider context. Ladies, you will work in pairs. You'll have a pile of cards. One by one, you take one card with the word which you need to explain. However, there are words mentioned in the cards which are taboo, which means you cannot use these words to explain your target word, so to say. So, ladies, will you use the words from the card? Thank you. They are taboo. Partners, guess the word. You work for 2 minutes. You're welcome. Oh, good job. All right. Thank you very much. Memory game. Students work in pairs and they have a grid of cards face down on their tables. On the cards there can be synonyms, antonyms, opposites, parts of phrases, maybe a word and a picture. The idea is that students take it in turns and turn over 2 cards at a time. If they match, for example, parts of the phrase or synonyms or a picture and a word, so if the words match, they score a point and take the cards from the grid. If they do not, they put them back exactly to the places students took the cards. Be attentive with the number of phrases. So if it is a huge grid, I do not think it is a good idea and students will be not motivated at all. And also as a bonus here that we practice students' memory a lot. They need to remember where the pictures are or, for example, where the parts of the phrases are as to match them properly later on because they will learn some phrases where they are in general and finish the activity rather quickly. One more thing is this activity is rather useful in terms of fast finishes because if one group finishes early or earlier than you wanted and the rest are still occupied with this activity, you can ask them to play one more round and just, I don't know, extra bonus for you as a teacher because you don't need to prepare any additional fast finishes activities. Ladies, a pile of cards. Please put the cards face down, 4 in a row. Good job. Ladies, now you'll play a memory game. One by one, you turn over 2 cards. If they match, if they form a collocation, you score a point and take the cards from the grid. If they don't, you put them back. So, ladies, can your partners see the cards you turned over? Can your partners see the cards you turned over?
Yes.
Yes. Do you mix the cards or you put them exact? Okay, good job. And then you swap. All right? 2 minutes, go. Yay! Ladies, one more round. Shuffle the cards. Shuffle the cards, one more round. And that's all for today. Thank you very much for listening. I'm eager to have further connections, further communications and discussions over the email you will see later on. Thank you very much for listening attentively, for being here. I wish I could be there with you. Well, however, this situation is a little bit different, and anyway, even this situation doesn't stop me from sharing. Guys, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask them with the platform that the ITEFL board provided. Contact me if you need using the email, and I'd like to finish with my personal professional motto, the principle I stick to every single day. Teach not from the book, teach from the heart. Bye.